If you're seeing this video, you probably have your French reading and listening exam very soon. So I'm going to give you guys a few French tips, not these ones. Okay, I'll stop. But yeah, I'll start with a few tips on reading and then I'll move on to a few tips on listening. So for reading, I have one main tip that I really want to drive in, and that is your vocabulary. That is the one thing, and that's my only thing I want to tell you guys about reading. Make sure your vocabulary is as up there as possible. I mean, right now we don't have much time, so what I suggest doing is just going through the different topics, finding a list of vocab words on Quizlet or something, and just quickly putting it into your short-term memory now, because you have your exam very soon. You don't really have time to do a few words each day like I'd normally recommend. At this point, just learn as much as you can, get all that vocabulary in. If you know there's a few topic areas that you're weaker in terms of vocabulary, go over those ones first, find a Quizlet on those ones and just review them, whether it's like school, university, me, my family and friends, cinema, music, all that stuff. So many different topic areas that you can go over and do vocabulary in. That should be your number one priority right now, and that should only be what you're doing for reading, I guess. But also you have the translation section at the end of the reading paper. Now, if you don't know already, the way your reading paper is going to be structured is you're going to have a English section where you answer everything in English, a French section, and then a translation where you translate from French to English. So it's really important for the first two sections to make sure you're writing in the correct language, obviously. And this includes things like true, false, not mentioned. Make sure that's in the right language, right? You can't be saying true, false, not mentioned in the French section. You're going to have to actually write vrai or faux, depending on what section you're doing. It's really important you're not making those silly mistakes, because that could really add up if you aren't paying attention. And for the translation section, make sure your tense is up there, because you do have to have an idea of how to recognize different tenses, right? But it's mainly the vocabulary. Because you're going from French to English, you might find a few words that you've never seen before, so you really want to minimize those chances and make sure that you've gone over as much words as possible. That's literally all I can say about reading, and trust me, it will help a lot. Any one word that you go over right now, it could have the chance of coming up in the exam and could help you a lot. And now for the listening section, this one is by far, I think we all know how bad this one is. One thing about listening is that you move across the paper with the listening track, so you can't really go back. So that's why I really recommend when you're listening to the tracks to write important things down, so that when you're coming back to check over your work, you do have the chance to understand what they might have been saying beforehand, because you've written a few words down. And also, right before you start your listening exam paper, you're going to have time to flick over the paper and see the different pages and see the different types of questions. Use that time effectively and write down any words that you might think might come up depending on the topic areas. And when in doubt, if you don't know what they're saying, because there's probably going to be an instance where that happens, just listen to their tone and try and common sense it, right? If they sound angry, pick the option that looks angry, stuff like that, right? You do kind of have to use a bit of common sense in this. Obviously, don't be swayed by the common sense. If you hear something really clearly that it goes against the tone or whatever, put that as your priority. But if you really are lost and you have nothing to work with, listen to how they're saying things and then use that to your advantage. And once again, don't make the silly mistake of writing in the wrong language. And that's it. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Go back to revising your vocabulary, because that's the most important thing you should be doing right now. And I'll see you guys very soon. I hope your exams have been going well so far. I'll see you very soon.